America's NATO allies holding back as the U.S. enforces its blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.K. and France saying they'd rather step in after the fighting ends, not during it. All as President Trump calls for a hard look at the alliance.
I'm very disappointed in NATO. They didn't do that. They weren't there for us. We pay trillions of dollars for NATO, and they weren't there for us. Remember what I said. NATO was not there. Now they want to come up, but there's no real threat anymore. But NATO was not there for us.
Okay, so let's bring in Michael Oren now, former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Obviously, this is a big question mark in all of this. Where do you want to see this go next? Welcome.
Good to see you, Sandra. And just, apropos of the president's last remark about NATO, I don't say this with great joy, but certainly with pride. America today has one dependable military ally in the world, and that's the state of Israel. And it's an ally that's not only willing to fight, it's willing to fight as a full partner with the United States. And NATO's reaction, certainly we heard earlier about Britain's reaction to not opening the Straits of Hormuz. I think that really throws Israel's role into a great relief here, that Israel is that one great military ally for the United States. Israel today is preparing for the possibility of renewed warfare between the United States, Israel, and Iran. The question is, Iran is going to show greater flexibility in the possible next rounds of talks in Islamabad, or will Iran, as it is threatening to do, open fire on American warships trying to blockade the Straits of Hormuz? The bets here are running on Iranian aggression.
This was a post from the former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer on X earlier. He writes, "A summit, an advanced plan, along with France, when the conflict ends. This is how Western Europe steps up to be useful. I'm sorry for the repeated criticisms, but this is the essence of what's wrong with our allies. Too little, too late, too often." Sounds like you agree, Ambassador.
Yeah, I agree. I'm laughing, but it's a bitter laugh. I'm sorry to say that France has said this repeatedly. It's willing to act to open the Straits of Hormuz after the war ends, and now British Prime Minister Starmer has basically said the same thing. And it's extraordinary because it's their economies that are at risk here, not America's economies. By the way, not Israel's economy. We don't get our oil through the Straits of Hormuz. So it's extraordinary dereliction and abandonment of their responsibility as sovereign countries, and certainly as allies of the United States.
This is Spain's defense minister on the blockade, saying Trump said other countries would help the blockade Iran. So far, there are no takers. Mr. Trump's proposed blockade makes no sense, Spain's defense minister says in a television interview. Since the war started, nothing makes sense. This is another episode in the downward spiral the world has been dragged into. I mean, just incredible to see that posted on the world stage in the middle of this conflict, Ambassador.
Well, that's the least of the abrogation of responsibilities by Spain toward its American allies. And Spain won't even let American military aircraft fly over its airspace. And it's extraordinary, given the fact that America has its probably largest naval base in the Mediterranean in Rota, Spain. And I don't know if the President Trump's going to make a decision about that. He has talked about cutting off trade to Spain and raising tariffs. But again, it is sending a message. It is sending a message to Europe's enemies. How can you, on one hand, stand up to Russia and Ukraine and let Iran close the Straits of Hormuz? Iran, by the way, a very close ally of Iran, and it's Iranian drones and Iranian missiles that are killing Europeans in the Ukraine. So the Europeans are not only showing weakness, they're showing tremendous moral confusion.
Yeah, and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo over the weekend saying NATO is failing to meet the moment. Great to have you here, Ambassador. Thank you for joining us.
You're well, Senator.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.